Hi there! Today what we're going to do is we're going to do monoprinting using a piece of plexiglass, using brayers, and then also using all kinds of really interesting tools to create scratches within the monoprint. This can be used as a background for other types of printmaking on top. That's what's happening with this one. It's a monoprint plexiglass underneath, and then I've done another monoprint print on top that's a little bit more pictorial. It can be something where you're scratching in and it might have a hint of some sort of a landscape, or it might actually be completely and totally abstract. But you can have all kinds of really great shapes and textures and colors, and you are putting a little bit more ink on than you normally would if you were using a piece of linoleum. So let's get started. So what I've done is I've created two templates of paper that are basically just saying if my page was going to be tall or if my page was going to be wide, how much space I would have around the edges. And I've given myself a little bit more space at the bottom specifically so that I can sign the print. And that's standard practice of any print. So I'm placing it on my piece of paper so that it is justified right to the space I've created. And then that way I know when I line up my piece of paper that's going to go on top, it'll be in a really nice, sharp, parallel to the edge of the page. And you can use your hand folded up to rub it. You could use a spoon. A spoon takes a really long time because it's got a very tiny surface. Or you can use a Baron, which is what this is. So I'm going to use a Baron just because I happen to have it. And I'm holding the paper too, pushing quite firmly down onto the plate to make sure that the whole thing doesn't just slide. The other thing you can do is you can also check by lifting up just a corner to see if you've got a good crisp edge. And you don't have to print right to the edge. You could print so that you're creating a bit of a halo and leaving the edge of the page or edge of the plate empty. That's totally up to you. Monoprinting is all about what kind of mark you want to make. So there we have the print, and you can see that where I'd moved the ink with the stick, it created these really lovely blobs, right? Now I could potentially put another series of ink right on top of this and print it again. I'm going to let it sit for a minute so that it has a bit of time to dry. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a monoprint that is wide. And I'm not going to rinse off the items that are here because I kind of like the fact that there's this other color underneath. And so it will become a richer print. It might become a mess, but it might also become a richer print. So depending on what you're trying to create, it might actually do some interesting things. Now I'm not placing this down on the page yet because I don't want to get any of this ink actually on top of my sheet there because I don't want that ink to transfer onto it. And I quite like pretty good version, so there we go. Okay, so it's pretty rough. There's quite a bit of texture going on there, right? And that texture is going to transfer with each subsequent print on top. And I'm not unhappy with that. I think that that's actually pretty groovy. All right, so it is actually not as successful as I was hoping, probably because there's so many colors going on underneath and there's so much texture happening with it. It doesn't make it a terrible print, but what could happen is if I wanted to do something on top of it, I would use something totally opaque and white and maybe let it completely dry first.